obligatory beginning shot of Olly. Say hi to everybody.
Wow.
Hello everyone from Olly.
Wow.
He has much to say to everybody, BookTube. I love to read a book and be absorbed in words to escape. Hi everyone, so this is the first of my online book order book hauls. This one is from Bookworld, which is a Australian-based book website, and it was having a click frenzy sale about 2 weeks ago that was just for a limited time, a few days, and if you clicked and got the voucher code then you got, maybe it was 20% off, I'm not sure. Anyway, I fell for it, and I think I'm about to fall for yet another one of their little sales because they're doing 40% off children's and YA fiction, and that ends this Sunday, and I have a feeling I'm falling for that one really hard, so there's probably going to be yet another really huge, really unnecessary book haul coming up because I literally have no room left on my designated YA shelves. I think I'm going to fall prey to the 40% off offer. Anyway, here is my first Bookworld book haul. I'll start with the YA selections. I got Vessel by Sarah Beth Durst because I have wanted to read this one for quite some time. It's a high fantasy of sorts with a female protagonist, and I know that it's quite beloved of Misty from the Bookworld in particular, and I do especially trust her taste. It's all about the protagonist training and anticipating to become a goddess and the use of magic and things, and I've just heard that it's very well written and an interesting read. I got The Assassin's Curse by Cassandra Rose Clarke. I've been curious about this one for a little while because I know that pirates are involved, and that certainly sounds like a lot of fun. It also claims that there is evil wizards, floating islands, haughty manticores, runaway nobility, strange magic. This is, of course, like so many YA, the first in a series. And the YA title I am most excited about in this haul is In the Age of Love and Chocolate by Gabrielle Zevin. This is the third and final installment of the Birthright series, which begins with All These Things I've Done, and its sequel is Because It Is My Blood, and now we have In the Age of Love and Chocolate. So we have our complete sentence. All these things I've done because it is my blood in the age of love and chocolate. A very interesting statement. I really enjoy and appreciate this series. I think it's a bit of a hit and miss with a lot of people, but I certainly fall on the hit side. It's a dystopian, but that's not the focus of the tale really. It's very much a contemporary family drama with some crime going on, and for whatever reason it just completely gripped me from the beginning. And I just find the characters very interesting, and all the family dynamics are really emotionally engaging, and I've just really enjoyed this series, so I can't wait to read the last installment. Okay, going to my fantasy selections from this haul. These ones all came in little mass market paperback editions, which I don't mind. It's really quite cute. I got Wolfskin by Juliet Marillier because it's Juliet Marillier and the woman is a goddess, and I love my female Australian fantasy authors, and this one centres around Vikings, and I just thought that sounds like fun, and it's Juliet Marillier adult high fantasy, so had to get that. I got Swords Point by Ellen Kushner because I've heard that this is a beloved novel in the fantasy genre, and it's kind of really one of the very first examples of the fantasy of manners subgenre, mixing fantasy with a setting that is Victorian or Regency England inspired with comedy of manners feel that you'd find in Jane Austen works, for example, and I've just heard so much praise about this one. Sana mentioned it in her Fantasy of Manners book recommendations. Apparently its sequel is meant to be even more praiseworthy than this one, but I've just heard so many good things. Like, there's like 4 pages worth of praise at the front here, so I hope I enjoy it. I'm excited to finally have these. I've got more installments in my Mercedes Lackey Elemental Masters series. These are adult fantasy novels that weave fairy tales with elemental magic, so people learning sorcery and whatnot using the elements, and it's just really, really cool. I've got the first I've got the very first one, which is The Fire Rose, and that was a Beauty and the Beast retelling of sorts. And this is the second one, The Serpent's Shadow, focusing on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And this one is The Gates of Sleep, focusing on Sleeping Beauty. And they both have quite unique settings. The Serpent's Shadow travels between India and Victorian London, and a lot of The Gates of Sleep is set in Victorian era Cornwall, which is really lovely. And I'm just really keen to eventually build up this series because I just think it's an interesting idea. I think a lot of the Elemental Masters series was begun in the late 80s, and I think these were perhaps published in the early 90s, so it's been going for quite some time, and I'm really keen to get my hands on more of them. I grabbed The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin because I've heard a lot of people praise this, including Felicia Day, and I always make note of the books that she gives 5 stars to on Goodreads because I trust her opinion of fantasy novels in particular. I've just seen a lot of really positive reviews on this. And I grabbed Fearsome Journeys, which is an anthology of high fantasy. It includes such people as Trudy Canavan and Scott Lynch, and it's edited by an Australian fantasy anthologist, and he has produced a number of anthologies that I really like to get my hands on, including one entirely dedicated to Australian fantasy authors, so I definitely want to pick that up at some point. So that was my Bookworld book haul number 1. I highly suspect you'll be seeing number 2 sometime soon. But I also have a few other books to add on because I was quite naughty and couldn't contain myself when I went into a bookstore the other day. So I grabbed The Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich, and I know that this is a favourite of Books and Pieces. She has praised this one and this entire series. It's the Peter Grant series. It's set in contemporary London, I believe, but Peter Grant is a detective who discovers magic and begins to investigate crimes of a more magical nature, and it just sounds very interesting and kind of like something that I think should maybe be read alongside the Thursday Next series, possibly. I think they sound like they could be good companion pieces together. I had to grab Mother's Grimm by Danielle Wood because this is a collection of short stories that take a spin on all the mother figures in the Brothers Grimm fairy tales and put them in a contemporary setting and retell stories from their point of view, and I would assume to make them slightly more sympathetic characters. So that just sounds right up my alley, and I absolutely had to get it. And finally, continuing in my quite recently adapted tradition of picking up second editions of novels that I do already own, I grabbed the Vintage Classics edition of Little Women because I recently grabbed the Vintage Classics edition of Anne of Green Gables, and I've decided that I'm only going to get new pretty second copies of books if they're ones that are really my favourites, and I do adore Little Women. So I got this one because I thought it was cute and had all the March sisters and little bits and pieces that kind of signify each character. And like the Anne of Green Gables edition, it also includes cute little things in the back, such as a quiz and explaining who's who in Little Women, and I just thought that was adorable. So that was yet another naughty book haul. I'm being ridiculous lately, but things have been extra stressful and sad in my life of late, and I'm just keep turning to retail therapy. What are you gonna do? So that was my book haul. I hope you enjoyed the titles. If you've read them, let me know what you think, and I'll see you all soon. Bye! Olly thinks that there are better things to do than filming book hauls. That's right. Olly bids you farewell, everyone.